Hello, so this is here I'm showing this experiment that I've used for this paper, right? So we'll go through the experimentation. So this has been published on IEEE Access. This was published in 2021, earlier this year. So the GitHub link is this, right? So for this experimentation, we will need these two images, Ubuntu F3, and they are all in my repository Uguani, so you have to download this on your GNS3. We'll be using GNS3 platform for this, so make sure that's downloaded. These are all the steps that we have to follow for this, and this is the architecture that we have to build for this. Alright, so without further ado, let's go to GNS3. So this is the platform. Don't worry, we have to create a new of this, so let's go and create a new project. So we open a new project. Let's name it something, probably yep, we have that open. Now we have to create this. We have opened a blank project, we have to create this. So like I said, we'll need these two images, and we'll go to our GNS3 VM now and then download those two images. So we're now on our GNS3 VM. I'll clear the screen. Next, we have to download these two Docker images. So go to use Docker and pull those images. So I already have them anyway, so I'm not going to install this, but you have to pull those two images. The first one is Ubuntu TF3 and the second one is this name server. So make sure you have them installed. I already have them, so it's not really gonna do much. It's just gonna realize I already have them, then it's not gonna download it. So once you have these two images installed, we have to now create a template for it in our GNS3. So we'll go back to our GNS3 GUI, and then we'll go to Edit and then Preferences, and then within here we need to create those two templates with the Docker that we have downloaded. So we choose the right Docker container, which is the Ubuntu TF3 which we just installed. Click Next. You can name it whatever you want. And then we choose a name, a befitting name. And then we just click Next, choose the number of adapters we want, and then we click Next. Next. Basically next for these ones now, and then we finish. So like I said, I've already installed this before, so I don't need to do this again, so I'll just delete this anyway. So for the next one as well, which is the name server, is basically the same procedure. So you just follow the same procedure, click next, and then it will create a template for the name server. So basically I already have this installed, so it will throw an error if I do this, which it has. So I'm not going to do this, but basically this is the way for you to install these two Docker containers. So once this has been done, we apply the changes, and then after this we'll have to basically import these two Docker containers into our blank project. So now we need to create our architecture. So if you go back to see the architecture we need to create, which is this. So if we go back now, we have to create that architecture here in our blank project. So we pull a open vSwitch, put it in our GNS3 VM, and I'm just gonna skip through all this bit until we have our Docker container, our architecture ready. Alright, so basically, because I don't have enough, so in our architecture we have 10 MEC servers, so we have 2 branches and 10 MECs, but I don't have enough computational power, so I'm only going to use only 5 MEC servers. But if you have enough computational power, you can go ahead and use 10. Right? So yeah, so I'm only going to be using 5, so I'll delete the obvious and then leave it to just only 5 MEC servers. Alright, just need to align that properly. Now we just need to start the servers. So basically we'll be following these steps which are in the GitHub. So we'll be following all of these steps. So if you want to follow along, these are all the steps I'll be following from 1 to the last steps. So first we need to start our servers. And we need to configure and make sure that the IP address, so you just need to uncomment this for DHCP. So make sure that DHCP has DHCP access, and then they can obtain an IP address for each of the servers. So do that for the name server and do the rest for all of the other servers as well. Alright, now we need to start the servers. Start the name server. So on the name server, we need to configure the name server. So we go to the repository, the directory. So on this directory, we start the Nginx server. I need to get the command right, so it's Nginx start. So after this is started, next we just have to start the Flask application. So I just need to copy the command for that and then go back to our name server and then start the application. Now the application is started, we need to also take note of the IP address of the name server because we'll be needing this in a little while. So next we have to do the rest of the MECs. So we go to the first MEC, start that. It's probably going to take a while to start, so we just have to wait a bit for that. You know what, we can start the rest actually. So just in case you wanted to know how to get this the desktop image, so you go to templates, you go to install in the GNS tree, and you go to the guests. So on the guests, if you scroll down, you'll see the right Ubuntu desktop. Yeah, there it is. And you should just click on that, click on Nest, and then click on Nest. Here you have to choose the right architecture, and then you just click on Nest. And then obviously I've already installed it, but you could just click on one of them, and then it will give you a download link, and then another download link. Go and download it. So if I just click on one of them, and then if I just click on download, it will redirect me to the URL. And if I go to the URL, I can be able to download this and then import it on GNS. But I'm not going to do all this. I'm just showing you so you know how to do it in case you didn't know how to do that. So we just wait for this to boot up now. So this will be our result server. So while we wait for that, we can just go and start the rest of the MECs. Go and start this. Alright, now they are all started. We can just go and configure them while we wait for the desktop to load up. So go to the first one. And let's just load all of them up on the console. So now they're all up and running. Next, we could check up on there. Alright, the desktop is still loading. Alright, we'll come back to that. We can continue to configure the other MECs. So we go to the first one. First one will be our broker. So all we could do is I have to get rid of this. So if we go to the GitHub, just to look at the steps that we have to do. So the second step is installing the broker. So all I have to do is just copy that and back and paste it here to install our broker. So the broker has, sorry, to start the broker, not to install the broker, because the broker is already installed. It comes with the image, so long as you use the same image which I've provided. Now it is installed, we'll go head over to the directory, discussion directory. So that directory, just git pull to make sure we have the latest code. So for that to fetch. Next, we go to the next MEC, go to the right directory, and then also git pull. I'll copy that and then basically paste that on each of the MECs. Alright, now that's done, we have to make note of the IP address because that will be our broker. So that's the IP address of the broker. So I'll go and write that down somewhere. So we have the broker IP. That's that. And then we also have the name server, which is the first one we set up. Name server IP will also be, I have to go back and collect that. Go back, copy the IP address, and then paste that in there. Okay, so we have that configured. Okay, finally our desktop is up, so we can go and configure the desktop. Type in the password for that is osboxes.org. You can then continue, go back to the GitHub link and continue to configure the rest of the servers. So next operation that we have to do is to start the FTP server and the SSH server as well. So if you copy that link, command we go to each of the MEC servers and paste that in there. That will start the FTP server and also the SSH server. Okay, so once we have that, we can check back upon the OS boxes. We just need to put the right password, osboxes.org. Alright, we need to open a terminal and then type git clone https. Basically need to clone our repository down. So I need to type the right link and I hit enter. Git is not found, then we have to install git, so we have to sudo apt update first. Type the right password. Now we need to install git. So sudo apt, if I can spell, install git. Now we need to install open SSH server. Alright, waiting for this to done, and after that we need to now clone the repository down. Clone repository. Alright, now we need to start installing our dependencies. We see into the directory, and I need to change one thing quickly so it doesn't take a long time. So if I just open this and then just uncomment this bit. Right, uncomment that bit, save. Don't need to do this, actually. I just don't want it to take too long to install. Now I can basically run the setup file here, and then we start up when it continues. Alright, we need to run another setup file, so if I do ls, and then we need to run the lstm1. So sudo sh then lstm. Then I'll also pause it and then continue when it's finished. Now that's done, I need to rename the host name of this of the result server. So if we do sudo nano, it's actually /etc/hostname. We just need to mark it as a number 0, because that's how I have programmed it. So basically it picks up the numbers of the MECs and basically numbers them. Alright, so you just need to put actually, I think I did that wrong. We just need to put the right number there, which is number 0, and then save that. Alright, now that's done. Next, we need to have to install the Ftp server. So I think I got the name wrong. After googling, is actually install vs ftpd. So we install that. Now we'll handle this file transfer, file sharing between the MECs. Wait for that to do. When that's done, next, oh, it's still installing actually, so we just have to wait for that. Alright, now it's fully installed. We will have to do some changes to the config file. So I'll do just basically copy, because I already have a config file in the directory. I'll just copy that straight to where it needs to be. Just basically following instructions written down on the GitHub link. So I'll copy that config file into that, and I have to use sudo for that. Alright, now that's done. Next step is basically to restart the Ftp server, and then I have to probably enter the right password. Just wait for that to pop up. Yep, enter the right password for that. And then that's done. Next, following instructions. So for the MECs, I think we are almost done with the MECs. All we need to do is to basically copy the keys and pass that to the results server. This is a key. So first we need to generate the key and then copy it to the results server. So that's the next step that we need to do. First we need to find the IP address. The IP address is 192.168.122.182. So that's the IP address we have to use. I will copy that and then edit that in my notepad. Just type in the IP address of the results server IP, and that is equal to 192.168.122.182, isn't it? Yep, 182. Now I just need to change that from this to 192.168.122.182. Then I have just to copy this and then paste that on each of the servers, each of the MEC servers, apart from the result server. Let's copy and paste. Let's enter Y, enter, generates the key, and I'll say yes to confirm. Type the password of the result server, which is osboxes.org, and then that's done. And we have to do the same thing for the rest of the MECs as well. Alright, once this is done, we'll have to go back to our result server, and then there's one more thing that we need to do. We need to create the folder where the MEC will save the cache files. that will be in the FTP server. So I have to first make the results file where the results server will save all of the files. And after that is done, we also need to go back to look at the steps. So I think it's finished. The last step is the starting the application part. Okay. So like I said, we need to make the directory for where the MECs will save the cache files as well. So we need to run that with sudo as well. Okay, and that's done. So we're almost done. Now what we could do is basically, so that particular directory is also in our GitHub. So that's where I got that from, just in case if you're wondering. So now, what we need to do now is basically go back to our caching directory, run the S. Already, first we need to on the control. So I need to open a new tab, and basically in this tab we'll run the control. So basically, what the control does, it basically controls the starting and stopping of the application, right? So run the control. We need to put the broker IP address. I go back to the notepad to remember the IP address. So which is 192.168.122. Yep, and then 131. Yes, we have that. So it's waiting for us to start. Next, we will go back to our caching one, and then we also need to make sure that our FTP and SSH server are started as well. So I'll just double check, yes, the SSH is running, and then I'll double check the FTP server as well. And yes, it is running, and I'll just restart it just for good measure. Next, then we can now start the server, start the application, I mean. So Python tree, and then we need to run the GUI one, so it's demo GUI, right? And then we need to put the right flags, and then I just need to go back just to remember the flags that we need to put in. So here we need to put the number 5, because we're already running only 5 servers. We put the IP address as well. IP address 122. We need to go back and remember the broker IP address, which is 131. And then also we put the name server. And then finally we also need to put the result server as well, for the IP address of that. Yes, and that's it done actually. So you have the IP address of the broker, IP address of the name server, and also IP address of the result server. Alright, starts the application, and then waiting for it to run. Okay, matplotlib sleep is building. Let's wait for that. Alright, there is an error. Tickinter is not installed, so just need to install Tickinter. It's pip3 install Tickinter. I think, no, is it TK or Tickinter? I think it's Tickinter. Let's try Tickinter first. Okay, no Tickinter. And TK. Not TK. Oh, I shouldn't use Y actually, it's just TK. It's installing. Okay, it's installed now. Let's try this again. Okay, it's definitely not Tickinter. So let's try and run this again. Okay, still Tickinter is not installed. So I just need to go and find out how to install Tickinter, and I'll be back. Alright, so figured it out. So it's basically sudo apt install python 3 tk. Alright, Tickinter is already installed. Now what we need to do is basically rerun this with sudo, and we also need to use the flag -n is equal to 5. I think I made an error when I was showing it the first time. So -n is equal to 5, that's the number of MECs that we have, which is only 5 MECs. The broker IP, the name server IP, and also the result of server IP. So as long as everything is right, we can start the application again. And yes, now we started. So we have to do the same thing for the rest of the MECs. So we go, and I'll just write this. Actually, I'll write it out in my notepad. That will be better. I'll write it out and just copy it. Yes, it's actually demo py. Yes, and -n. I just need to confirm what's the right flag for this. Go to that, just go all the way down. See -n or minus number. Oh, it's actually -n. Okay, so I was right. Okay, I just need to change that on the readme letter. So -n, copy and paste that, and then -ip. What am I doing? Actually, this IP should come here instead. So minus. So the N should be 5, then the IP should be this, which is the broker IP. Then we have the name server and then the result server. So the name server is I'll just copy that and paste that in there. And then finally the result server. Let's copy that and then obviously just paste that in there. Alright, we have everything ready. We just copy the command, go back to our MECs and just start pasting them. So I'll paste that in there. Wait for that to run. Yes, running. We go to the next one. We paste that in there as well. It's running as well. We go to the next one, paste that in there, and finally go to the last one and we paste that in there. Alright, we are all ready to go. So we just need to go back to our control and then start the control. Just click next, and then we're good and fine. I'll go back to our caching and wait for that. It's running now. and there's an error which I need to fix. So bear with me while I've just fixed that error. There is an error somewhere. I think I figured it out. So we need to uninstall the current Python. So basically, make sure that you have Python 3.3.2. So that's the sorry, not Python, Matplotlib 3.3.2. So I think the current version of Matplotlib it's higher than that. So I just need to uninstall this one and basically install the right version of Matplotlib. So I don't think I've uninstalled the right. Yes, this is the one we need to install, Python 3.4.3. So we need to uninstall that one. Alright, we need to install 3.3.2. I need to stop all these ones going to restart that actually. Stop all of this, and we basically need to run the cleanup file, so it just basically removes all the unnecessary files in there. It clears the cache and removes all of the unnecessary files. So we just run the cleanup file on all of the machines, and now we're good. Go back, and then 3.3.2 is installed correctly, and then we just basically need to rerun the whole file again. Oh, it still says no model name Matplotlib. Oh, so we need to install that in the root. That was the problem, so we need to do sudo okay, sudo install that. So just wait for that one to install. Any moment now. Yep, it's done. So we just go back and rerun the file. Yes, it seems to be working now, so we just go and rerun each of the applications again, restart them. Yes, they're all good and fine, so just basically go now and start server again. Yep, seems to be working fine now, and any moment now the GUI should pop up. Yes, we have a GUI. So basically, so how the algorithm works is that at the first few stamps, the association prediction won't be here because we don't have enough data for us to do prediction. So basically, it will build up, and after a couple of minutes, it will have enough data for you to predict, and then to use that data to predict. What I'll do, I'll just pause this video and just basically wait for the data to fill up, and then we'll resume from there. Okay, so we just wait for the data to fill up. So after a couple of minutes, the data has filled up. So you have the association rules have been generated. So basically, what it's saying, it's saying that. So for the association prediction, obviously it's 100%. Well, it's 100% just basically because of the first few ones are accurate, right? I don't think it will stay 100% to be fair. So this is just the first initial ones, the prediction which is right. if we go to the association rules is obviously the green one is the prediction and the blue one is the data which is using to do the prediction. So it's telling you that if URL 318 and URL 527 comes consecutively, the next URL will be the one in the green. So that's basically the association rules that is being generated from the algorithm. Okay, so that's basically all that for now. So we have monitoring the network cost over time, monitoring the CPU, and the memory utilization, and that's all of it.